Hello, yes, thanks for tuning in. Stuart here, Unrepentant Atheist. This is my, say, weekly roundup video, but it looks to me like that's not quite correct because I'm going to probably be doing one every 2 weeks. Just really to talk about what's going on the channel and some information about my own personal life because I've recently become involved with a Christian, romantically speaking, and I've been going to church, so I'm going to be talking about that. Yeah, it's funny, isn't it? So yeah, what's been going on the channel? I've been doing more, of course, of my Matt Dillahunty videos, and I did one that I thought I was quite pleased with, the Richard Dawkins video with George Coyne, the Catholic minister. I was really pleased with what I did with that video, really, because I managed to clip out about 10 minutes of an interesting conversation. George Coyne explaining, despite being a scientist, he admits that the scientific method can't possibly get us to God, but there are other ways. There are other ways that we can believe rationally that there is a God, and he went through these one after the other. And I thought Richard Dawkins did a very, very good job. Of course, it's not Richard Dawkins as he is now. It's Richard Dawkins as he was, I think, 15 odd years ago. And I thought that he really did well to raise the correct questions at the right time. And I found George Coyne's reasons for belief incredibly poor, really worse, frankly, than a lot of Christians who call in to the atheist shows. He was talking about the church tradition, all the writings over 4,000 years, stretching all the way back to the ancient Greeks, and how this convinces him that what people thought at the time convinced him that Christianity is true. Yet somehow it's completely okay to be a Muslim, to be a Buddhist, to be a Hindu, because God speaks in many different ways to many different peoples. Yeah, well, and yet he believes that Jesus is the Savior. He believes in Christianity, and by Christian doctrine, all the religions can't be true. There's only one true religion, Christianity. And if you don't believe in Jesus, then you can't possibly go to heaven. So, and yet he's validating all the other religions, saying that it depends on which culture you were brought up in, etc. So there's no coherence in what he's saying there. Because in that case, I can just turn around and say, well, my own personal history determined that I was going to be an atheist, and therefore I've got nothing to fear. If that's the case, God can't blame me for being an atheist any more than he can blame somebody for choosing Allah as the one true God. Okay, sorry. Let's move on then. Yeah, so I've said before, I've left 1 or 2 posts, I've made 1 or 2 videos, mentioned that I'm romantically involved with a Christian lady, very nice woman, attractive woman. She's 48 years old. She's Austrian. She's lived in Britain for, I don't know, 25 years, speaks very good English and everything. And I just love being with her, and it's great to be with her. We have great conversations, and we've got similar interests, all that kind of thing. So she's nice. Of course, she's a Christian, and I knew that. She doesn't wear her Christianity on her sleeve. She virtually never mentions it. And it's not really a factor. Christians are so common. A lot of you guys out there listening are probably married to Christians. Okay, I was married to a Christian for 20 years before I divorced. I didn't divorce because she was a Christian. I divorced for other reasons. But her Christianity in my life wasn't really a problem any more than it's a problem now that I've met somebody new. But of course, she does go to church every week. So this place where she lives, I spend a long weekend with her basically, and she likes to go to church. On a Sunday, the church is packed. It's quite amazing because churches I've seen, a lot of them have got declining attendances. You can go into a church that could hold 400 or 500 people, and on a Sunday there's only 50 people in there. Not this church that I go to. It's a local parish church, Church of Scotland, and it's absolutely packed. I'm not kidding. We always arrive late. We go in, its service starts at 10:30. We always get in at about 10:35. when the singing started. And we actually have got to look around to find a seat in the pews, so it's completely packed. I asked somebody about this, and they said, oh, this particular town, it's got quite a long tradition with the church, and the church is such a strong hub in the community. And the population is tending towards the kind of profile of people, mainly elderly, sort of, elderly people, and consequently the pews are full every single Sunday. I thought it would just be Christmas, but no, every other Sunday as well. It's packed. And they do well at collection time. I've seen the money going around. I've seen £5 and £10 notes being put in the collection bags. So that's a very, very popular church. So I go in there every Sunday, Church of Scotland, and there are two priests there. One of them is the main priest, and then there's another one who is sometimes not there because there are other churches around, and he's sometimes got to go and do duty there. They're wearing all the, the black gown. They've got a kind of white, with two white tassels coming down. I'm not really too sure what that signifies. I would have thought it should be 3 tassels for the Holy Trinity. As for the actual service, of course I could do without it. Of course I could do without it. I mean, if I was standing with a group of pagan worshippers early in the morning watching the sunrise, it would be no less bizarre to me, or no more bizarre than standing in church and singing hymns and, not saying prayers. I don't say the prayer. Of course I don't. I don't recite the Lord's Prayer when it comes around. I've got my eyes open. I'm just looking around. So yeah, obviously we typically sing 5 hymns in 1 hour. There are prayers, there's intercessionary prayer, there's of course a sermon, there's Sunday school. Children usually come in, children stay for the first 10 minutes of the service, and then they march off and they go off to Sunday school, and they do some sort of craft design type thing, and something related to Christianity. So it's very, very formulaic. It's very formulaic. It's incredibly boring. Incredibly boring. It really. I mean, I would imagine that even for believers, it's boring because there's hardly any variation in what they do. It's so predictable every single week. You start with a hymn, then you get a welcome. Welcome, blah, 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 etc. Nice to see you here. Have we got anybody from outside of the parish? And then hands will go up. Oh, yes, where are you from? I don't know, I'm from York. Oh, we've got somebody from York. That's nice, etc., etc., etc. And then there's let us pray. There's a prayer. And then there's a hymn. And then there's typically a reading. There's usually one reading from the Old Testament, then a reading from the New Testament, and there's another hymn, and then there's the much awaited sermon, which usually lasts about 10 minutes. Then there's a prayer after the sermon, let us pray, the Lord's Prayer perhaps. Then there's another hymn, then there's another reading, then there's a hymn, intercessionary prayer, and then, oh yes, of course, and now the offering is going to be uplifted to the greater glory of God, which is basically bullshit for get your hands in your pockets, brothers, and dig deep. Dig deep, brothers, for Jesus. Oh dear. So these sort of red bags go around, and of course I put something in, a couple of pounds, a pound for me and a pound for her. And then there are 4 people who uplift, so-called uplift I don't know where it's uplifted to. Where's it uplifted to? Up there or where? So the minister actually said, Heavenly Father, please accept this offering, which we present to you for you to use to the greater good of your glory. And I'm thinking, Well, God's not going to use that money. No, God's not going to use that money at all. I'm not sure where it goes. I presume that some of it goes to the central church and the rest of it is, I don't know. I don't know what they do with it. Some of it maybe goes to charity, who knows? But I would estimate that of the 300 odd in there, I only put in £1, of course, but most of them seem to be putting in £2, £3, £4, £5. Some people put in £10. I estimate that there's probably £1,000 collected on a Sunday, which I suppose is not a bad sum of money. But I'd like to say to you guys that these priests, priests are Catholic, these ministers actually think they're interesting people. They actually think that they've got something interesting to say. They think that they stand up there with their smiles, and they stand up there like they're almost stand-up comedians, because they usually tell one or two jokes and they'll tell an anecdote maybe, but it makes me smile inside to think that they think they've got anything interesting to say, because they've got nothing interesting to say whatsoever. Really, absolutely nothing interesting to say, neither of them. And yet they think that they're clever, and they think that they have got something interesting to say, and they just haven't. Okay, so after the service then, at the end of the service, after the offering's been uplifted and after the last of the hymns, people are filing out, and of course the ministers are there shaking hands with everybody, including me. Oh, it's nice to see that you could make it today. Very nice to see you again. Yeah. Oh, by the way, I'm an atheist. No, of course not. I haven't. I'm not there to debunk anything. I'm not there to undermine Christianity. I'm not there to mock anything. I'm there to support somebody that I'm in a relationship with. And she likes it when I come along, and it's an hour of my time every week. It's all right. I really don't mind too much anyway. But after the service, there's a church hall next door, which is quite a modern church hall. It's very hospitable. There are nice chairs, tables, etc. Some very nice ladies and men actually get the coffees and teas out, and there are biscuits, cakes, etc., etc. And I've got into several conversations with people in there. Religion is never discussed. It's usually we have a bit of a talk about local issues and, just observations about life and that kind of thing. Nobody ever mentions religion at all. Nobody ever even references it. It's just like a community hub. So that's actually not a bad, it's not, I can think of worse ways to spend a Sunday morning. I can think of better ways too, but it's not too bad. So yeah, so we're usually gone by 12 o'clock, and then the rest of the afternoon, if the weather's good, we'll go out for a nice walk, whatever, have some dinner later, watch a video in the evening. It's quite a nice Sunday, even though we've got church in the morning. Okay, so that's one of the congregations that I go along to. The other one is because my partner, she sings in a choir which is attached to the Covenant Church. Now the Covenants, they apparently split away from the Church of Scotland when the Church of Scotland started marrying gays and started accepting women ministers. So they're much more conventional, conformists, I suppose, or fundamentalists, really. So I've been mixing with some of that crowd simply because she knows some of them quite well. She sings in the choir. She's been invited along. Now, her daughter, she's got an 8-year-old daughter, was invited to a birthday party at, or what can I call it? It's like an activity centre for children. I mean, when I used to have a birthday party when I was a boy, I only had one actually. We would have the party at home, play musical chairs, pass the parcel, etc. There were no video games, anything like that in those days. But children these days, they need probably more entertainment than when I was a boy. And birthday party, you can have a pool birthday party. You can, like in a swimming pool, there are all sorts of things that you can do, which is great, actually. Got nothing against it whatsoever. So these parents, they got a bit of money, and they must have, because they rented this huge activity center. There's a massive kind of bouncy castle type thing inside it, huge. It's like the size of a tennis court with all sorts of stuff on it. There are some kind of dodgem sort of, cars that you can drive around in, and there are various other activities. It's a really good place. And I can imagine that they've got two daughters, twins, this couple. They must have spent, I don't know how much money. That party must have cost them a couple of thousand, because there were 50, 60 children there. They were also providing hospitality to all the parents. We got free food from the cafe. I got a really nice latte with chocolate, and they really catered for us and everything. And the children had a great time, of course. So yeah, it cost them a lot of money. But the point is that a lot of the people there, members of this Covenant church, I've been to one of their services, and some of them recognized me from that service. They said hello. They don't know I'm an atheist, of course. I've been criticized on my channel for not coming out and saying, hey, by the way, I'm an atheist. I've been told that me going in and not declaring to people that I'm an atheist is somehow dishonest. No, I don't think it's dishonest. I've been invited along as a guest of my partner to support her and be a companion for her. And it's not my job to go in there and debunk her religion by declaring to everybody that I'm an atheist. And somehow I feel it inappropriate to go around putting my atheist hat on and telling people that I'm an atheist. And I don't think it's dishonest. Somebody said they think I'm being dishonest. I don't think I am. I'm being diplomatic and just trying to be reasonable. However, if somebody asks me my beliefs, I'll tell them. And on this particular Saturday, when they had this party, the mother of the lady who's the two twins, she recognized me. She came to me and she said, oh, hello, Stuart, how are you and everything? And, it's nice to see you again. And we had a nice chat. She was telling me all about how she met her husband, how when she first met him, they were very young. They were like in their teens, late teens. And she turned him down many times. He persevered. And eventually she said yes. She was already a Christian, it seems. And then this is when it started getting a bit, the conversation sort of shifted slightly, because we were having such a nice chat. And then she started talking about, she said that her husband wasn't a Christian, but it seemed to me the deal was that if she was going to go out with him, he had to get himself converted. So she said, oh, and he went to see the minister and he came back and he was converted. Well, I don't know what she looked like when she was young. I imagine that she was probably fairly pretty. I mean, she's now 75-ish or something like that. And she's sort of, I can tell from her face, she still looks sort of quite nice, even as an old woman. I can imagine that probably in those days, she was quite a catch, quite a nice looking woman. And if this guy in those days was told, yeah, she'll take you, but you've got to convert to her brand of Christianity, he probably said, yep, no big deal. I mean, most people were attached to a church in those days, so I don't really find that a big deal that he converted to Christianity, or he converted to her brand of Christianity anyway. But when I did start to get slightly uncomfortable, or I found things were sort of starting drifting in the wrong way, is I said to her, I've seen you together, I've met your husband, I really like him, and we've had a nice chat. And and she said, how long do you think we've been together? I said, oh, I don't know, 40 years. She said, no, 50 years, 51 years they've been together. And she said, you know the wonderful thing, Stuart? I thought, uh-oh, here it comes. I said, no, what's that? A sort of innocent look on my face. She said, with a big Christian smile, and the Lord's been with us every step of the way. And I thought, oh no, this is not really a conversation I want to have. And I just sort of smiled politely. And then I said something I probably shouldn't have. I asked her if she believes in heaven. No, I shouldn't have said that. I know, I shouldn't have said that. That was dumb. But nevertheless, I asked her the question. I said, do you believe in heaven? Do you believe that when you pass on, that you and your husband and all your family will be reunited in heaven for all eternity? She smiled. She said, yes, she did believe exactly that. And I said, what happens there, though? What goes on? Do you take your memories with you? Are you in a sort of physical body somehow that turns into a spirit? And she said to me, she doesn't know. She just knows, she just trusts in the Lord that it's a very, very happy place. So now after she said that, immediately after she said that, do you know what she did? She looked me in the eye. She shook my hand. She took my hand in both of hers and she shook it quite strongly, actually. And she said, it's been very nice talking to you, Stuart. And then she just said, I've got to go and see, my daughter or something like that. And she just literally went off. I think she went off because when I said about, do you really believe that? Because then, and I slipped in because I'm not a Christian. I had to do that. I had to let her know where I stand because I didn't want her making, statements thinking that I'm necessarily agreeing with her. I had to say that I wasn't a Christian. I just slipped it in. I didn't make a big deal. I didn't make a big deal about it. So, there is one thing that she said before she left, which I didn't like, and which I didn't comment on either. We've heard it time and time again. There's no hate like Christian love. And, this lady was very nice until she said something which made me think that she was just as bigoted as many of the other Christians that we've heard calling in to a lot of these shows. She suddenly, from out of the blue, said, because we were comparing and contrasting what times used to be like and how they are now, and she said she doesn't like this. She doesn't like the way that a lot of children are being encouraged to change gender. Well, I just wished I was in another place when she said that. I could not comment on that at all. I just let that go because I thought if I really tell her what I think of that statement, there's going to be a lot of trouble. And I decided not to say anything about that. I couldn't validate it by commenting. I hope she didn't think I was validating it by not saying anything. I didn't say anything at all. And then she shook my hand and then disappeared. She left that bomb with me. And it's not really a topic I ever want to come back on because, I could have said to her, where'd you get your information from? What makes you think that children are being encouraged? I could have gone down that route, but, it's a birthday party and I wasn't there to bigoted people. I wasn't there to debunk bigoted people. I hate hearing these things, and in normal circumstances, I would challenge that. But in that situation, I decided not to. So yeah, it was a pleasant morning. Apart from that, apart from that moment, yeah. Well, that's about it, really. I suppose that others will get to know. I'm pretty sure she did hear it when I said I'm not a Christian. Others may well get to know. She might. It will be interesting the next time I'm in that crowd to see, because when I get into that crowd, I see smiles everywhere. They know my romantic partner. They know who she is, and she's been going through challenging times, difficult times. She's had unreliable partners, abusive partners, and they've said to me that this is a funny thing. They've said to me that they're delighted that she's with me, and it's almost like the Lord has delivered me. The Lord has delivered me, an atheist who's got a YouTube channel. I'm fighting for the other side. I'm fighting for Lucifer. Isn't that ironic? Isn't that funny? Yeah. We're so glad. She looks so much happier since she met you, and here's me, an atheist. Okay, well, I don't even know if I'm going to post this. I don't even know if I'm going to post this video. I don't know. I'll probably think on it. I don't often talk about my personal stuff, but because I'm an online atheist, I've got my own channel, and I've been mixing with Christians. I thought it might be interesting for you to hear some of my experiences and reflections, and no doubt there will be more experiences, more things to say about Christians in these two congregations. Anyway, okay. Well, thanks for watching. Thanks for watching my channel. If you're still with me, you're one in three that usually gets to the end of a long video like this. So congratulations. Bye for now.